Once upon a time, 8mm film cameras like this one revolutionized how we captured the world. You shot your home movies, packed up the film, and handed it off for development like your photographs. But Edwin Land, the man who introduced the world to instant photography, had a new idea. What if motion picture cameras could be instant too? Today, we're going to talk about Polavision, the amazing invention that nearly destroyed the Polaroid Corporation. Let's do it.
The kind of photography that would become part of the human being. Press a button and have the picture.
It's called Polavision. You're watching the film with your wife, your kids, your mother, the dogs, your friends.
Your cat, your lawyer, Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio. I don't know, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, Polavision, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Like, all those people might be interested in Polavision. Welcome to In an Instant. My name is Ben, and today's instant breakdown takes a look at this beautiful catastrophe. In April 1977, Edwin Land stood before a crowd of 3,500 thirsty Polaroid shareholders and announced, "The era of immediately visible, living images is now at hand." This idea, like the idea of instant photography, had once been thought impossible. Until now. Well, until then. Betamaxes and VHS tapes would soon make their way into home movie cameras, but in that moment, this product threw the crowd into a frenzy. People were soaking their slacks. Sitting in front of me is that product. We have the Polavision camera, a couple Polavision film cassettes, and the Polavision viewer. This system allowed you to shoot your film, pop it into the viewer, and watch your home movie almost as quickly as developing a Polaroid photo. Just like the photo system, the secret was really in the film unit, which is its own little processing lab. Self-contained liquid pods developed the film in about 1 minute, and these little guys could record about 3 minutes of action, and that's just about as long as the typical Super 8 film reel from back then, so not bad. This cartridge has a little lens in here, and when you place it in the Polavision viewer, the whole unit acted as a self-contained projector, which is insane. The image hits the inside of this translucent screen so you could watch it like a TV. The engineering at play here is just wild to me. I mean, we have like incredibly advanced computers in our pockets that can also make phone calls and that's cool and definitely amazing, and I'd be like super dead on the street without it, but this sort of analog ingenuity just blows me away. We take for granted that we can view anything instantly in the digital age, but this was a true revelation in 1977. However, and this is a big however, this product almost killed the entire Polaroid Corporation and essentially led Edwin Land, one of the greatest visionaries in America, to resign soon after it was released. This was a disaster, like a real oopsie whoopsie. A few things caused it, but let's start with the product shortcomings. First of all, Polavision did not record sound. It was future-proof to be sound tape compatible, but at the time of its release, they weren't mechanically ready to include it yet. Edwin Land talked at length about sound that day in 1977 when he announced the camera. He thought the state of sound in home film cameras was awful and truly believed in the importance of high-fidelity audio for a product like this. So he didn't want to rush it if that wasn't ready yet. But the lack of sound put off customers, and arguably if they waited, they probably would have been in worse shape because the home videotape cassette revolution was right around the corner. So that sucked. And the other big problem was the light sensitivity of the film. The ISO equivalent of this film was about 40. That's dark, that's like real dark. And even in broad daylight, the image was foggy, hard to expose well, and had this grayish appearance. Colors just didn't pop like SX70 film. The film cassettes and Polaroid player were also basically a closed system. Another major problem. You could break the cassette and run the film through an 8mm film projector, but that opened up a huge possibility of damage to both the film and the projector, since Polavision film had to be thicker to enable the development process and withstand the repeated use in the viewer. You'd also be running the risk of getting chemicals on your hands, touching a loved one, and blinding them. And you gotta break up with them after that. At that point, they can't even see your movie, so what's the point? Anyway, you were stuck with this little TV player. Not great, and there were serious questions even at the initial announcement about people's desire to view film on something so small. Land thought people were already used to watching small television, so they'd be fine with this. They weren't at all. On top of everything, it all cost more than Super 8 film systems, which had obviously superior image quality and sound, so the writing was on the wall. Polavision was Edwin Land's pet project, and the full weight of this failure landed on his shoulders. People within the company were actively advising him to stop pursuing its development, but he stubbornly pushed it through production, and Polaroid lost almost $70 million in only 2 years once this completely whiffed on the open market. That's around $248 million in 2020 dollars. That's a lot of dollars. 3 years after that, Dr. Land begrudgingly announced he was leaving the company and shockingly severed all ties to Polaroid, surprisingly relinquishing even his board seat and abandoning a 10-year commitment to their research and development division. Polaroid was posting huge drops at this point, and it was thought Polavision catastrophe and resulting shift in leadership marked an end of an era for a titan of the photo industry. Actually, Polaroid bounced back, and the next 10 years resulted in their biggest rise in revenue ever. But in a way, this camera and this system was really the end of Polaroid's innovation phase. This stood next to the SX70 as a beautiful feat of design and engineering. After Polavision, products became plastic, cheaper, gaudy, often truly gorgeous in their own right, sometimes really hot. But the innovative craftsmanship of Polaroid was in a different, very 80s era. And like I've said previously, the 80s were crazy. Everyone was just dying for no reason. As a footnote to this though, the tech Polaroid used to invent this film ended up being used in Polachrome, Polaroid's 35mm instant film, which didn't sweep the nation, but is definitely a cool film stock and story for another day, or video, or if you want it. I'm not pushing that on you. Thank you for watching In an Instant. Go ahead and slap that subscribe button in the face. Stay tuned for more reviews, breakdowns, and all things instant.